Hey guys, so the first thing I'm going to do is zoom in closer so that you can see my brows better, and I'm going to show you what I do on a regular basis, the products I use just to fill my brows, and then I'll also give you some alternative brow products that I do use but not on a regular basis. So the first product I'm going to use is the NYX Microbrow Brow Pencil. Another alternative is for a more natural, I guess, brow, it's not, the color isn't as bold, is the ColourPop Brow Boss. I have the Brow Boss in light brown and the NYX Microbrow in ash brown. So this is what I usually use on a regular basis. So the first thing I do is pluck my eyebrows, get all the stray hairs out of the way that don't need to be there, and then I just take this spoolie and I just brush my brows upward. Now as you can see, I'm not zooming super close just because I don't want to be out of frame the whole time. I've never done a tutorial this close, so I'm trying to make sure that I don't get out of frame all the time. But as you can see, I have plenty of brow hair. My problem is I just have areas that are sparse and that just don't grow. So like right here, there's a little bit of thinning. I don't know how well you can see it, but I can see it on camera that there's some areas that you can see through to the skin. So my purpose of filling in my brows is to get a more even brow on both sides. My brow hairs grow in different directions, so that's the purpose for me to fill my brows. It's not that I don't have brow hair, it's that I want a more even, crisp, precise look. So as I said, first I brush my hair upward on both sides, and then the first thing I do is fill in the bottom. So I basically draw a line across the bottom. So bear with me because I am looking at a mirror. I'm trying my best to stay in frame. I might have to move out of frame to get a precise look. This is a lot harder to do on camera because I usually use both hands. So as you can see, I drew a line across the bottom. Next, I'm going to start drawing strokes upward. If you see the beginning of my brow, it's kind of bald right there, so I want to add some hair into those spots. See how it's starting to fill in and look more full right there? So once I do that, I go and do it to the rest of the brow. And I'm just doing strokes upward. And then when I get to the tail, I bring it down. And it's okay if you have a messy process because you're going to go back and clean it up after. As you can see, I'm starting to fill it in, and you can see that it's starting to look a lot darker and just more bold and precise. Luckily, I have a very strong shape, so I don't have to basically build my brows. I know some people have very fair brows or hair that's very sparse or barely hair at all, and so it's hard for them because they have to build a whole brow. I just have to basically clean up and structure my brow, so I know that I'm lucky in that sense because not everyone has brow hair or has full brows. So as you can see, I filled it in. If you don't want it to look super bold and you want it to look more natural, you can go in and fill in your brows with a powder. So sometimes if I'm going over the same spot, it tends to get really dark. So if there's spots that are bald and you just want it to look lightly filled in, you can go in with a brow powder. I use the Anastasia Beverly Hills Brow Powder Duo in Caramel. And I usually use the darker side over here. So the part that usually, I'm going to go on and show you this one after, but this is really the area I have some issues with right here. But anyways, back to this side. You can just like fill in the area instead of coloring it all, and you could just use the pencil for the more precise areas and then just use this to just make it more uniform. So once that's done, I go in and I just clean up any lines that, you know, I drew past my brow or stuff like that. This is the Real Techniques definer brush. It's really small, and I usually just crisp up areas that I think I went over the line and just clean it up. So once that's done, I'm just gonna go to the next brow. It's really weird how I do my brows. So the same thing I did on this side, I'm now gonna do to this side. I'm going to line the bottom. That's the first thing. So as you can see, the line is starting to get built. So there we go. So now I'm going to fill in the front once again. As you can see, it's a little bit more bald there. Some people like to leave that area sparse because they think it looks more natural. I prefer to just have it all across the board filled in. So as I mentioned, this area right here is where you can see the bald spots. I'm going to fill that in with the powder in a second. It's okay to be messy, guys, because you're going to go in anyways and touch it up. So you brush the hairs up and blend in what you just filled in. As you can see, you can still see that line where it's kind of bald. So now I'm going to go in with the powder again. Once again, it's the Anastasia Beverly Hills Brow Powder Duo in Caramel. I'm using the darker side on the right. And I'm going to fill in that spot. It's so weird, it's almost like my hair just doesn't want to grow in that spot, and it has like a cowlick almost right in this spot right there. It just sits in a certain way that it makes a space, even though there's plenty of hair there. It just makes a space, what drives me nuts. Once I have that filled in, I go back and brush it through again. I have some hairs on the end that are, my brow person told me not to pluck, so it's kind of like she's trying to thicken the end, and because it was thinner than the other side, and so I have some hairs that I really don't like, so I kind of bring my brow down lower so that the hairs kind of blend in. So after I do that, once again, I'm going to clean up my brows with the definer brush from Real Techniques. So I'm going to use this brush again and just kind of bring it down and bring it over. So now that they're filled in, I go in with a brow highlighter, and this is the Cella Ivory Lace Highlighter, and I basically line my brows. As you see, I just lined it, and now I'm going to line the top. And now I'm going to do it to this side. So I have them lined now, and then I'm just going to go in and blend them. Some people like to do this after they do their eye makeup, but I like to do it first. So once I have that done, I go in and make sure that I didn't draw over the brow powder with the highlighter, because sometimes I might put the highlighter up too high and then go over what I just did, so it kind of, you know, defeated the purpose of me filling in the bottom. So once I'm done with that, I once again brush my brows up. And next I'm on to the brow gel. You don't have to use the products that I use. I kind of am overkill with these products, but it's just what I do. The first thing I do is I go in with a colored brow gel. You can skip over the colored brow gel and go in with a clear, but I like to go in with a colored brow gel first. I use the Essence Make Me Brow in Brownie Browns. And another really good one that's more high-end is the Benefit Gimme Brow, and this is a number 3. So, like I said, I go in and I just use this to brush my brows in place. This also has fibers in it, so if you have spots that don't grow hair, this adds little fibers to the spot to make it more look like hair. So I just lightly brush upward. Just adds a little color, nothing extreme. You have to have a light hand with this because sometimes it does get kind of thick in areas and I have to go back with a spoolie that has nothing on it to, you know, fix areas where there might be a clump of hair gel in my brows. So lastly, I finish off with a clear brow gel. My holy grail is the Anastasia Beverly Hills Clear Brow Gel. This stuff keeps your hairs in place. It doesn't make them feel crispy, but it's a good strong hold gel, so it's kind of like hairspray for your brows. One that I've been trying out that is a decent brow gel, but not quite as, it doesn't hold them quite as well in place, is the ColourPop Brow Boss Gel. This has a tiny spoolie, which I really like, but it seems to clump the gel. Like, it has a lot of gel on it, so that I don't love, but I do love the size of this, how it's more small like the other brow products I was just using. That is why I got it, is because I liked that the spoolie is really small. But this is my holy grail. I think this works the best at keeping your brow hairs in place, which is why I use it. This is actually pretty empty, so I just use it to brush my brows in place basically until I buy a new one. So I just go back over and just brush them the way I want them to go. And that's it. So that's basically how I fill my brows every day. I will post all the products that I talked about down below in the description bar. If you guys have any questions, comments, or concerns, post it down below. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. And until next time, thanks guys, bye.